Did you see me on The View Tuesday afternoon? Did you see when they said, we don't believe there's a Trump mandate? I said, oh, really? Did you see the former press secretary for the White House come on? I think Stephen A. is wrong. I don't believe what he said is correct. Donald Trump has the lowest approval ratings in the first month or so, or the 2 months of a presidency in American history. Oh, really? But didn't he win all the swing states? Didn't his popularity elevate within 89% of the counties in the United States of America? And then you got folks like Candace Owens, who's a Trump supporter, along with various others with their microphones, their cameras, and their audience. If you think the liberals are overcoming that, you go ahead and watch Schumer and those 21 other senators talk their drivel. J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or somebody will be the next president in 2028. You'll have nobody but yourselves to blame. As if it is edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show. I ain't got time to talk about this anymore.
Stephen A. Smith is calling out the DNC for what he sees as fake outrage. And honestly, it is loud and shocking. The sports broadcaster and political voice did not hold back when he criticized people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi for stirring fear about Donald Trump. He made his point very clear. We have every clip right here. So go ahead and smash subscribe if you have not already, and let us get started.
Democrats today have gone out of their way to post messages on social media about the current Trump administration and what's happening to American lives. The problem is they're all literally saying the same damn thing. Don't believe me? Check it out.
I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
Shh, that ain't true. That's what you just heard. Since day one of Donald Trump's presidency, prices are not down, they're up. Inflation is getting worse.
Inflation
Not
is
better.
getting
The
worse.
prices of groceries, gas,
Cost of groceries.
Now you see why Stephen A. Smith was in the polls as a presidential candidate? You see what I'm talking about? You see that idiocy right there? You talk about something, people being tone deaf.
Stephen A. started by criticizing Democratic senators for sounding completely out of touch and repeating the same stiff message that feels far removed from everyday Americans. In his view, it almost sounds like they are reading from a script instead of speaking in a real or urgent way. He said party leaders keep repeating identical talking points, warning about higher prices, saying the economy is falling apart, and attacking Trump's strong position on illegal immigration. Yet they fail to present anything fresh or convincing instead of addressing voters' real concerns clearly and honestly. Stephen A. argued that Democrats depend on planned outrage and familiar storylines. Because of this, he says their message sounds forced, old, and disconnected. In his opinion, this lack of new ideas and emotional understanding is exactly why many Americans are tuning out, frustrated with leaders who talk at them instead of truly talking to them.
Why the hell would 22 Democratic senators be literally echoing the same thing and think that would resonate with the American people? All it shows is that the same fabric of our democracy is unchanging in the eyes of some of these officials, and as a result, the constituency they represent, which is why Donald Trump is in office. What, do I have to come up to Capitol Hill and give you lessons? Seriously, you don't get it? Oh, you did. Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Chuck Schumer. Let's all get together. Let's put this in a prompter, and all together, albeit in separate rooms, we'll grab a microphone and say the same damn thing. And that's what's going to resonate with the American people. And then you wonder why you're no longer in power.
According to Stephen A., the Democrats' current strategy is doing exactly what they should avoid doing, which is helping Donald Trump. He believes this same strategy is what first helps Trump win the White House. Yet party leaders appear ready to repeat that mistake. Instead of changing their message or admitting voters are frustrated, they keep using language that feels distant from everyday life. Stephen A. explained that Trump won because he knew how to speak to regular Americans. His message was clear, direct, and emotional. Whether people supported him or not, they understood him. Trump spoke like an ordinary person, not like a polished politician reading notes. That realness, Stephen A. said, helped them reach voters from different backgrounds. By not seeing this, Democrats may strengthen the same political situation they say they want to fight against.
Chuck Schumer and the typical politicians, oh, inflation is high. Oh, look at them pointing the fingers at the migrants. Oh, look at them blaming immigration. They don't care about you. Oh, by the way, look, they don't care about the, well, why would you bother people from the LGBTQ community? Would you bother folks with transgender and all this? Why would you do that? That is what the Democrats say. That's what most politicians would say. Here's Trump. They're pieces of shit. They don't give a about you. It's rigged. They've hoodwinked you all the time. They think you're a freaking joke. They give you the anytime they want to. Here's Trump. Them. They ain't worth shit.
Stephen A. argues that Donald Trump speaks from the heart and shares his message with passion that truly connects with his supporters. In his opinion, it is that strong energy, the charm that excites crowds, and the bold confidence that pulls people in which sets Trump apart from traditional politicians. He does not come across as overly rehearsed or carefully scripted, and that realness, Stephen A. says, is exactly what drives his popularity. Trump shows confidence, certainty, and strong belief. These are qualities many voters find comforting during uncertain times. Even when he makes mistakes or faces controversy, he rarely avoids them. Instead, he addresses them directly, often admitting them instead of shifting blame. To his supporters, that honesty makes him seem human, not artificial. Stephen A. believes this emotional bond, more than policies or political language, is what keeps Trump's supporters motivated and deeply committed.
And do you know what his followers say? Yeah! Yeah! That's how we want you talking to those politicians who've been stealing our money all of these years. It's not what he says. It's how he says it. He does it with vitriol and venom to show a disrespect to politicians who the public have no respect for because they feel they've been hoodwinked by those same politicians. He's using it to separate himself from the cesspool that is Capitol Hill. And how does Capitol Hill respond? By showing them they're still Capitol Hill.
Stephen A. explains why MAGA supporters remain strongly loyal to Donald Trump, saying it comes down to one basic truth. Trump openly dislikes many of the same people they dislike. He does not try to sound polite or neutral, and that direct hostility is exactly what his supporters appreciate. According to Stephen A., Trump talks about political elites, business insiders, and media figures with clear disrespect because he understands his base does not trust them. Many Americans, he says, see these people as dishonest, especially after years of financial scandals, insider advantages, and what they believe is hypocrisy. Trump connects directly to that frustration and says clearly what his supporters already think. Instead of defending institutions they no longer believe in, he criticizes them constantly. Stephen A. argues that this shared opposition forms a strong connection between Trump and his base, built not only on ideas, but also on shared anger, frustration, and deep mistrust of the system.
Did you see me on The View Tuesday afternoon? Did you see when they said, we don't believe there's a Trump mandate? I said, oh, really? Did you see the former press secretary for the White House come on? I think Stephen A. is wrong. I don't believe what he said is correct. Donald Trump has the lowest approval ratings in the first month or so, or the 2 months of a presidency in American history. Oh, really? But didn't he win all the swing states? Didn't his popularity elevate within 89% of the counties in the United States of America? Didn't his popularity elevate within the Black community, the Hispanic community, and the young voters?
Here, Stephen A. responds strongly to those who keep downplaying or dismissing Donald Trump's popularity, saying they are ignoring political reality. In his view, the facts on the ground show something very different. Trump is still extremely popular with a large group of American voters. Rally crowds, polling trends, online activity, and voter excitement all show a movement that is not disappearing. Yet Stephen A. criticizes Democratic leaders for overlooking these clear signs. Instead of facing hard truths, the DNC depends on stories pushed by allies, party analysts, and media voices that already agree with their perspective. By doing this, they choose comfort over honesty. Stephen A. warns that this echo chamber thinking is risky because it blocks leaders from seeing real public opinion. When leaders deny what voters clearly notice, he says they do not weaken Trump, they make him stronger.
Didn't he win the popular vote for the first time in 20 years as a Republican nominee? Didn't he also win the Electoral College vote? Isn't he in control of the White House? Don't the Republicans have the House and the Senate? All of that happened, but there's no Trump mandate. You see, is it? Or is it just that the Democrats are so damn lost that they're actually going to convince themselves they can do the same old and still regain power, both in the midterms and in the 2028 election?
And this is really the heart of the issue. Democrats seem convinced they can win the next presidential election by using the same failed strategy from before. They think constantly attacking Donald Trump, downplaying his accomplishments, and questioning his political background will be enough to influence voters. According to Stephen A., that belief is seriously mistaken. He says nonstop criticism without self-reflection only strengthens Trump's image as an outsider being unfairly targeted. Instead of presenting a strong and hopeful alternative, the party depends on fear-based messages and personal attacks voters have already heard many times. Stephen A. explains that many Americans care less about outrage and more about results, leadership, and honesty. By refusing to change direction, Democrats risk looking fixated on Trump instead of focused on the nation. In his opinion, repeating old tactics while expecting new results is not smart planning. It is denial.
I'm here to tell you that's not going to happen, because Trump has the power now, and he's manipulating the proceedings. And in case you didn't notice, one of his top boys, Elon Musk, Doge, owns X. Who else was at the inauguration? Jeff Bezos. The man running TikTok. And Lord knows who else.
It is surprising how Donald Trump gained support from places many people did not expect, including leaders from Silicon Valley who are not usually active in politics. These individuals normally focus on technology, innovation, and business rather than party loyalty. Still, many were drawn to Trump's message. Stephen A. says this change shows something bigger than simple political belief. It shows influence. Trump also receives support from widely known podcasters and digital figures like Joe Rogan and Candace Owens. These voices reach huge, loyal audiences outside traditional media. Unlike cable television, these platforms connect directly with millions who distrust standard political coverage. Their backing spread Trump's message far beyond rallies or interviews. According to Stephen A., this group of tech leaders, independent voices, and alternative media figures represents a new political arena. It is one Democrats continue to overlook, even as it changes how voters get information and shape their opinions.
And then you got folks like Candace Owens, who's a Trump supporter, along with various others with their microphones, their cameras, and their audience. If you think the liberals are overcoming that, you go ahead and watch Schumer and those 21 other senators talk their drivel. J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or somebody will be the next president in 2028. You'll have nobody but yourselves to blame. As if it is edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show. I ain't got time to talk about this anymore.
Stephen A. gives a direct warning. If Democrats do not adjust before the next election cycle, they could lose not only to Donald Trump, but also to J.D. Vance or almost any Republican nominee. In his opinion, the issue is not simply who runs against them. It is the Democrats' unwillingness to admit their own weaknesses. He says voter frustration keeps increasing, and without meaningful changes in message, priorities, and leadership, that frustration will keep helping Republicans. Stephen A. calls this the tough political truth Democrats have not fully accepted. Rather than asking why so many Americans feel disconnected, party leaders return to the same familiar arguments and safe ideas. In his view, elections are rarely lost only because opponents are strong. They are lost because leaders fail to see their own mistakes. Until Democrats face that reality honestly, he warns losing remains a serious possibility.
The news doesn't get any better in terms of how much they spent to win. The Harris campaign reportedly paid Al Sharpton's nonprofit organization $500,000 prior to the vice president's sit-down with a civil rights activist and an MSNBC host. According to records from the Federal Election Commission, the Harris-Walz campaign made two separate donations of $250,000 to Sharpton's group on September 5th and October 1st. Harris sat down with Sharpton for an MSNBC interview that aired on October 20th, nearly 3 weeks after the donations from her campaign to the National Action Network took place.
In the end, Stephen A.'s message is very clear and troubling for the Democratic Party. He says politics today is not controlled by repeated outrage, recycled phrases, or carefully shaped media stories. Voters are looking for honesty, strong belief, and leaders who speak openly about real-life problems. According to Stephen A., Trump's lasting appeal comes from his emotional bond with supporters and his readiness to challenge institutions many Americans distrust. By refusing to accept this, Democrats risk making the same costly mistakes again. Attacking opponents without presenting solutions only increases frustration and strengthens the other side. Stephen A. believes the next election will depend not on headlines or trends, but on who truly understands public feeling. Unless Democrats stop denying reality and confront hard truths, they could once again face shock on election night, watching success slip away not because they were weaker, but because they would not change. And that brings us to the close of today's video. If you liked it, press the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.